Ilan na yung kuha mo ng pagkain?
Ito. Isang ano, punong-puno.
Oo, nag-umo.
Pancake. Isang kanin. Dalawang potato na dalawang hotdog. Isang waffle. Dalawang cheesecake. Ayun yung naman niya.
Yung kailangan natin manalo.
Kailangan natin manalo.
Kailangan natin manalo. Manalo na lang tayo.
Kasi ang dami nga lang natin throw. Oras tsaka throw.
Laruin nyo yung game nyo, mananalo tayo dito ha. TME on 3. 1, 2, 3. TME!
Bro muna.
Di ba parang parehas lang? Na combo-combo.
Pero mamaya na level 3 mo kunin. Malakas yan eh.
Agad ka ba ito ma? Kasi malayo ako, mauna yung
Uy, magdadagdag daw siya oh! Panot namin yan! 10 seconds barrier ko, 10 seconds. Ay! Nanay mo panot! Nanay mo panot! Nanay mo panot! Nanay panot! Bakit ano pa tayo dito?
Power!
Good afternoon, Southeast Asia. We welcome you back to the group stages of the Garena Premier League Summer 2017. I'm Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We will be your casters for the last day of the group stages to determine who will be moving on to the knockout stage.
Yes, and very exciting indeed, as this is the last day wherein every game counts. Like, forget about day 1, day 2. This is the make it or break it for most of these teams right here, especially for those that are kind of shaky right now, that might not want to go into a tiebreaker, or even worse, you know, just ultimately lose out just when you have that one last chance.
Right now, the standing so far for Team Manila Eagles stand at the 2nd spot, followed by in the 1st spot would be Young Generation. This is going to be the first game for day 3. This is Young Generation versus TME. Let's see, will TME score a victory against Young Generation? Because this victory could mean everything for TME. They could make it to the knockout stage. The only win they need right now, as long as they win against Resurgence, they're guaranteed the 2nd seed spot when we go to knockout stage. But if they win against Young Generation, I'm pretty sure TME is going to feel very happy with that, and with that confidence, might beat Young Generation and then Resurgence in the following games.
Yeah, I mean, after a crazy 2-0 yesterday, they're just going into this game with a lot of confidence, probably a little bit of nerves, but a lot more confidence. I mean, it's a huge morale boost to have come off a nice 2-0 just when you thought that things would kind of get shaky for the team. But nonetheless, going into the bans right later, let's go ahead and review them real quick. So we have the Corky, the Braum, and the Gragas going to be taken off the board from Team Manila Eagles, while Cassiopeia, Syndra, and Rek'Sai, of course, will be taken away from Young Generation. So all very potent, powerful picks, as both teams, you know, after we're already in day 3, so all the teams, they're kind of aware of what champions each team is very, very proficient at. So I'm actually not as surprised that we're seeing more focused bans as opposed to the more typical bans like the Cho'Gath, the Maokai, which were more of the OP side. So, but yeah.
It's understandable for Young Generation to actually take away that Corky from Trevor, because that seemed to be his comfort pick the good pick to get him on a good start, a psyche pick for him. So right now TME, they are focusing actually on the top side, banning out the Gnar, whereas Young Generation are really targeting Marky.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. And, you know, it's interesting because that flex idea wherein you think that the Lucian would be going AD carry, it's not real. It's pretty much obvious already that a lot of the teams, they most likely opt for a Lucian mid as opposed to thinking that it wouldn't be as much of a flex pick. So I like that regardless, Young Generation still making those extra steps to ban out Marky here. Twitch, we do know one of those champions that he's very efficient at. Lulu Gnar for banned out from the side of Young Generation. You know, the Lulu with that utility, it would really work well with the overall composition that Young Generation has drafted thus far, especially with that Zac, the Kog'Maw, the Orianna. You know, a lot of chaos could go on with that composition if that Lulu was given. So it's interesting that they did ban that out from palette. But looks like Young Generation will be banning out the Kalista from Marky as well. So we'll just have to see what will Marky be bringing out. And yes, it is going to be the Saya, one of his signature champions that he is best known for in the Philippines. In fact, probably known as the best Saya in the Philippines today.
So this is going to be TME sticking towards the comfort pick of Marky. Whereas Young Generation did take away the Kog'Maw that actually changed everything between the Kuala Hunters. The fact that TME 2-0'd one of the consistent champions of Malaysia, the pride of Malaysia, the Kuala Hunters, this is good boost for them. Entering this game, they at least have a good night's rest. This is the first game, so this is all about TME. If they win this, they will be moving on to the knockout stage, one step closer, making it to Worlds.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that all the Filipino fans right now are probably really starting to give their energy to TME as the hope for the Philippines to make it to Worlds. But of course, the first seed of Vietnam not going to be giving this game quite as easily, as we have seen them as one of the very powerful teams going into the GPL right now, as expected of the Vietnamese region. But nonetheless, looks like the Renekton and the Janna going to be picked in for Young Generation, especially with Janna. Huge benefits when combined with the earlier Ardent Sensor. So we'll just have to see how this goes for both teams.
Have you seen JLC on the Camille once?
Oh man, I can't even recall the last time I've even seen a JLC.
Or Camille, in fact. Interesting. Young Generation's Renekton top against Camille, top of TME. Mid lane would be Trevor on that Lucian. Let us hope that Trevor does not falter or have any hiccups, because this game can shape everything. Because first game against the second seed of Vietnam, the little brother of Gigabyte Marines, this is big news for TME, because if ever they do make it to the first seed, it's great, but it's the fact that when they do make it to the first seed, at least they will be fighting off against Ascension. So this is actually better chances for TME, but we'll be seeing that in Rift itself, because so far, if I have to say the performance of the Team Manila Eagles, I would say the bot lane is consistent. The top lane, last night, with Coops, JLC and Coops shaped the whole clash, carrying Team Manila Eagles to a 2-0 victory. And let us see. JLC and Camille, Coops on Sejuani. This could be it.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was actually almost slightly surprised by the Camille pick. Then again, we have seen teams like Resurgence, for example, who really performed efficiently on the champion. But of course, nonetheless, looks like we'll have to hold all that off as we head into our first game for Day 3, the final day of the group stage for the Garena Premier League. Of course, once again, this is between Young Generation of Vietnam versus Team Manila Eagles of the Philippines, rather.
So this is going to be a very high-stakes game. The fact that Young Generation, when they move up to the knockout stage, in the end, they might fight out Team Manila Eagles again. So this is good exposure for the Eagles, especially the fact that Trevor will have to get comfortable knowing that they will be fighting, or may fight, Young Generation for the second time if they make it to the knockout stage. But so far things going, we are seeing that the jungler of Young Generation, Venus, will be going for the Raptors red, while as TME's side, Coops will be going for a blue and then Toad.
Yes, indeed. So interesting how there's not really that surprise element anymore. Wherein I remember the earlier days when Lucian mid was just kind of, you know, it's just kind of starting, and teams can ultimately get thrown off into thinking that, you know, it would be an AD carry. But now, clearly, it's much more readable now with a lot more games we're kind of seeing these solution mids, so you can't really deem it as that surprise flex pick anymore, because it's almost more than you'd almost think that, yeah, this could most likely be illusion mid, but looks like we'll be holding off for just a little bit. We're just fixing a little bit of a technical difficulty, but no worries. We'll be bringing you all the action just when everything is all good.
So when we did see the bot lane, the Kog'Maw, this I hope for the sake of the Eagles that the Kog'Maw will not scale off late game, just
Oh,
what we
yeah.
saw between the column per hunter. So this is going to be a time-based game where your resilience will count your endurance, your stamina in this game. If the Young Generation picks that, they are going for the late game. Big Carl getting some love taps from Marky with rocks at the back. So this will be just TME trying to deny Big Carl's farm.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, regardless, like Rocks really took a little bit of damage right there, so they might want to be a little bit more careful, especially since Market wasn't able to get the stun onto Big Core right there. So good positioning there by Big Core to make sure that not only was he in the midst of damaging Rocks, but also just kind of weaved around and positioned himself in a way that he wouldn't get stunned by Marky.
This is going to be the first time of the game. JLC gets kissed by the minion. It will be JLC burning that flash. Venus is going to be rewarded with a summoner down for the top lane of TME.
Yes, that is going to leave JLC a little bit more vulnerable to games with that flash down, and I'm not sure if he'll be just as lucky later on, so we'll have to be a little bit more careful until such time that Summoners is back. But then again, this could be remedied by Kups as well, as far as what rotations he could do to make sure that he alleviates some of that pressure that Venus could exert in that top lane.
I'm really scared for TME because they do lack the AP damage, whereas Young Generation, they have Naul on that Orianna, which is such a key element in a team fight. That one Shockwave and Resonance combo will be more than enough to delete Marky or Trevor. So TME, they really have to pick their fights correctly and smart, because if they overcommit and give now, let's say, a double or triple, that is going to be very difficult for TME to bounce back from.
I agree with you. You know, that's definitely something that TME has to take into account of. But nonetheless, regardless, if you're going to look at the composition that Young Generation has, there's just so many ways that you could actually catch TME off. But ooh,
Venus, coming. He does use the Blast Cone to get over those two gags from TME. So this will be another standoff. First blood still available. GLC might be the one to take it away because he is doing well against that Renekton. Renekton is on a timer itself, but GLC will have to wait for his time to shine. Let's say maybe when he reaches level 11. Level 6 wise, it'll still be Renekton having that power spike.
And now that I noticed, it's actually interesting that JLC, upon his back, went for the cloth armor. That's actually pretty good, you know, negating some of that damage against the Renekton during those small little duels 1v1 in that top lane. But yeah, I mean, going to the point I was trying to make earlier about the composition that Team Middle Eagles has, in contrast to the composition that Young Generation has, where if they get caught up, if Team Middle Eagles gets caught off, it's going to be very, very scary when you have elements such as the Zac, such as the Orianna, and to an extent, even that ultimate coming in from the Zona to knock things out and kind of disorient Team Middle Eagles. But if you're going to look at their composition, you know, having that Lucian, having that Saya, wherein they have their own level of protection in the form of dashes, in the form of Saya's ultimate. So luckily, TME did go for those kind of champions, as opposed to the ones that are a little bit more immobile, that wouldn't grant them those type of escapes that they could have.
When it comes to mobility, they do have the luxury with the Zaya, the Illusion, and the Camille. So maybe the Shockwave will be more difficult for now to land. And also the fact that Big Moro might have a big time, but right now in the mid lane, Trevor, the danger of giving first blood. He does not yet give first blood. He does survive that tower dive. That is a first for Trevor.
That was crazy, but yeah, it looks like Trevor will survive yet another day. But still,
here comes goes for the flashing gang. Ren flashing out of the danger. No more stacks for the Permafrost, so he will be surviving that gang with a first blood. Guaranteed by the Young Generation. This is bad news because Coops and JLC are counter-ganked and gets a taste of their own medicine.
Exactly, and just when we were talking about how yesterday they were kind of the key ingredient as to what made Team Manila Eagles really pop yesterday. You know, being set back this early on is definitely going to be somewhat problematic for them. So we'll just have to see overall if this is something that they can recover from, especially since we have been seeing Venus quite across this map, you know, trying to make plays, trying to help complement these lanes into getting kills. So with Venus, with these two assists, it's definitely going to give him a push forward in comparison to Cooks that might need to try to catch up.
Rox goes in for flash in, the stun will connect onto Paladin. Marky, no, it'll be Rox taking away the kill for more value, but Marky should have gotten that, so this will be a 2-for-1 kill score. Marky getting an assist. He does come back with a BF sword, so more damage, better trade-offs, but let us see the replay, what happened in the top lane.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out what happened here. So JLC already low on mana, already tried to go for the chase, but then again, here comes Venus, actually gets the connect onto both members of Team Manila Eagles. And as a result, you know, they could really go for this tower dive, especially since Venus did have his passive up, so that was very, very unfortunate for both members of Team TME.
This is what happens because when the Renekton reaches level 6, that is a huge power spike. Because this is the moment where Renekton shines the most, but let's wait out. Wait out the time where the Camille will outscale the Renekton in the late game, where Ren will be considered under useless if he does not speed Ren too much. He's 2-0 right now. A Phage and a Kindle Gem will finish off the Black Cleaver. So JLC responds now to the Ninja Tabi. He should at least get more offensive stats so that he can trade off better.
Yes, and that's the tricky part right here. Since JLC had to opt for that Ninja Tabi earlier on, in respect to the 2-0 that Ren has right now, it definitely minimizes that potential to not only duel out, but also to potentially pick out targets in a way. So we'll just have to see how that ultimately translates for TME in the later parts of the game with this deficiency.
Oh, TME might help out Trevor. We do see 2 members in the mid-river. Bomb side of Young Generation. But they are just going to be pressuring the lane. So far, Ren is doing a really good job pressuring JLC, forcing him under his own turret, which makes him very difficult to farm for a 71 to 50 CS. And now we're seeing that Coops and Rox might commit to a very risky gank. Just get spotted by a ward, but in the top lane, Venus does take down JLC.
JLC definitely having a hard time right now. Because of this lead that both members of YG were able to establish, you know, he's just going to get bullied in like there's no tomorrow. Plus the fact that they have all this confidence because of Venus still having that passive up. They didn't even need that passive actually to get that pick off JLC. So unless Coops does something to help relieve that, then JLC is ultimately not going to have as much relevance in this early part of the game.
Burning another teleport, his turn is very low at the risk of giving first blood.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out the replay here though. So JLC just kind of trying to duel it out with Ren, but Venus actually within the area gets the knockup. And this is just basically a juggle at this point of the damage. You know, still very, very healthy members of YG here.
I love how Venus is doing his job pressuring the top lane, but here comes Trevor trying to duel out now. Oh, the calling will connect. There's the cleanse. Coops a bit too late. May finish up that now. Oh, but here comes Rox.
Yeah, a little bit too late for there. But yeah, this is one of the tricky parts right here.
No. Venus again with the top lane. JLC cannot catch a break. Here comes Venus again. Another 2-for-1. JLC using Hector in the battle, trying to get away. The turret is very low, but it will be Venus catching him back with his elastic. But now Ren is chasing down JLC. This will be the first turret of the game going down to Young Generation.
Team Manila Eagles just not catching the break up against Young Generation here. And across the board, I gotta say, even right down to the idolization, Young Generation is playing it beautifully. If you're gonna look at it, between that duel between Naul and Trevor, one of the factors as to why Trevor wasn't able to take down Naul as fast was actually because of the fact that Naul going for the Seeker's Arm Guard earlier on to help negate a lot of that damage coming in from Trevor in the midst of trades. Very, very good move here.
So the kill score to 4-2. 11 minutes into the game. Young Generation does have a good start. First turn of the game. First blood all the way in the top lane. JLC will be sitting this one out. He will be waiting for his power spike, which may end up coming very late because of his deficit.
There looks like both members of TME are going to be spotted out, so nonetheless, 19 to 16 right now in terms of the goal deficit. Oh, Venus though.
Venus really sticking it to TME, trying to deny any sort of resources. Shutting down the top lane, complaining. Now let's go towards the mid lane. This gives a lot of moving power for Venus. Trevor does get away with his relentless pursuit. You do see that the Rift Herald does get taken out by Ren. Solo Rift Herald. Young Generation really aiming to end this game as fast as they can. 12 minutes in, already a Rift Herald.
Definitely fantastic rotations coming here across the board from Young Generations, Vietnamese second seed. And I gotta hand it to them because Coops.
Shockwave, blood connect. Trevor goes all in. Here comes G. Roxy's there for the rescue. Now, pretty much below. The purpose will stack up. Trevor still sticking to now gets taken out by Trevor. JLC making towards the mid lane, but the fight's already done.
Yes, that is going to be one kill onto the belt of Team Manila Eagles. Very good right there. You know, that could have been very, very scary, but nonetheless, that was a good juggle there by Team Manila Eagles. Trevor, you know, kind of weaving around, avoiding the damage that Mao could exert. So, you know, still very early to tell. Nonetheless, still very much balanced, I'd say.
It's very okay for TME right now that the top lane Ren is 2-0. Black Cleaver in. Not a big problem just yet because looking at the goal distribution, we are seeing that now 1-2 KDA. CS not too far behind Trevor. Has yet to complete the Morello, while as Trevor has the Blade of the Ruined King. This is good news for TME. They can have better trade-offs, but I'm scared when Naol gets a good break, a good lead. That shockwave will be more than enough for TME to squirm.
Yes, indeed. And looks like Team Manila Eagles are actually exerting all the effort that they need because they do know for a fact that Young Generation very much across this map. Let's go ahead and check out what transpired here in the replay though. So Trevor actually managing to avoid a shockwave right there, and good response there from Coop, slowing down Venus from going on the full offense onto Trevor, which is why they weren't really able to take down Trevor as fast. So really good balance there, and as a result they got that prize of that one kill on the beginner fight.
Spaniards, TME facing up against that Rift Herald, who just effortlessly took down the bot lane turret. So this will be Ren moving around the map more freely without any problem, whereas Naul will be going towards the top lane. JLC catching up slowly, but that deficit of a 116 to 98 CS is huge. The fact that Ren has 2 kills, this will further delay JLC's spike. Has yet to complete a TMF because the laning, his laning is right now is pretty sad. So this will be TME trying their luck on this Ocean Drake. Will they get it? We'll see. Young Generation is there. No wards placed yet in the Drake, but it'll be Venus going home. This is going to be a blind Ocean Drake. Young Generation had no idea.
Quite surprising right there. I was almost anticipating that Young Generation would have almost had that premonition that Team Manila Eagles would be going for that. But then again, that is a good objective.
Karma is on to Ren. This is going to be TME returning the favor. Teleport coming in. JLC will joining the fight, but this is under the turret. Look at the damage being soaked up by rocks. The shockwave is there. The Hector Eliminator will not let Ren get away. Here comes the Feather Storm. A shutdown for JLC. Marky gets an assist from that, but it will be a double kill because that was overcommitment coming from TME. I don't think it's over just yet. Rock splashes over the brush side to avoid Venus.
That was way too risky indeed from the side of Team Manila Eagles. If you're gonna look at their vision, their only telltale sign of whether or not a member of YG could be making their way towards box is that one control ward towards that brush near the inner turret. So that was very risky indeed because they had no information whatsoever on YG was in the midst of making that very gutsy move towards bot lane. And they have to take note, that was, Ren is very much ahead.
Oh boy, Trevor's big trouble. Rox is there for the cut off with Venus left alone. Trevor's pretty bad. He's trying to take down Venus, but overcommits, gets knocked up, gets almost bursted down by Big Carl. Big Carl gets the double kill with the Monsoon for the reset. Mark cannot position himself properly. Big Carl is there. JLC for the long hook shot. Big Carl flashes over that. Big Carl gets a triple kill. Very long health. Marky will not get a shot down. It will be JLC, but there's the passive with Ren for the backup. 5 members down for TME. This is the ace for Young Generation.
Man, that was crazy coming in from Young Generation right there. And I was actually wondering in the midst of that Monsoon coming in from Jana, whether or not she actually had that Ardent Center, but they didn't even need the Ardent Center passive to help them in that case. So very interesting here coming in from YG, and Team Manila Eagles really needs to start respecting Young Generation's team fight potential right now when they're kind of a bit ahead across the, rather quite behind across the board.
And this is Big Coro with a blade of the Ruined King, and will be building towards that Rage Blade. This Gokmao is going to be a juggernaut because this is going to be Young Generation's main damage output. Ren will be retiring soon in the damage department, so this will be Big Coro stepping up. Whereas TME, JLC has yet to finish up this Trinity Force. 17 minutes into the game, but here is the replay.
Let's go ahead and check out what happened here. So TME really inserting all that focus fire. Unfortunately, Trevor actually gets the passive basics on the camp right there, and as a result, they weren't able to take down Venus right away. But nonetheless, Big Coro here just free hitting like there's no tomorrow. Focus firing on Coro, but nonetheless, still the damage is absolutely insane, paired with the fact of that Shadow support. So I don't know, at this point, Team Manila Eagles, they just really need to start picking their fights wisely.
With the kill score to 12:05, this is 17 minutes, nearing 18 minutes. The Baron will be live in 2 minutes. So TME, they still have that tipping tool in a way that they do have the Baron buff for that saving grace. So this will be TME trying their luck. Ren and Venus spawn in top lane. Ren is doing really well with that Renekton. 3-1-4, building towards the Omen. Gonna be denying a lot of damage from Trevor and Marky, whereas Big Coro very close to that rage play. I presume that down drop from inside. It'll be Big Coro getting knocked into the air with JLC going for Hex to eliminate, or immediately gets countered by the Monsoon. JLC and Coops should not have committed to that. TME falling apart with double kill going towards Big Coro.
And TME, I don't think they could pretty much deal with Big Coro right now. If you're going to look at everything said and done, the Janna ult, along with the Ardent Sensor, combined with the fact that Big Coro has his own form of lifesteal in the form of the Blade of the Rotate, he's absolutely, just can't take him down at this point, unless you could get some sort of isolation onto him where you could like outnumber him and then just fire him. But I don't think that's really a case that Young Generation is giving the TME right now.
TME trying to defend the inhibitor turret. Coops with the Glacial Prison on 3 members. There is the slow, but not enough damage to follow around. Big Coro remains untouched. Rux goes into it with the knockout. Big Coro shielded by Pala. This will be damage over time with Big Coro not even landing any damage onto him. A double kill with only Trevor remaining. This will be Young Generation ending the game before the Baron may spawn. 4 members down for TME. Inhibitor turn, and the inhibitor is gone in the bot lane.
And this is just Team Manila Eagles at this point. The gold lead is just absolutely insane right now. 13,000 gold difference, and we're not even 20 minutes into, we're only heading into 20 minutes into the game. That's substantially huge, and when you have an inhibitor down, it's like, at this point, Team Manila Eagles needs a hope and a prayer that Young Generation would just kind of make some major slip-ups by themselves. But with the play, with the way they've been playing it so beautifully, even when it comes to the rotations, even right down to the itemization, the control, absolutely all in Young Generation's court. That there's just no other way to put it but to say that Young Generation played this game, played Team Manila Eagles almost like a fiddle throughout this entire game.
This is the second seed of Vietnam. This is what you expect from the little brother of the Gigabyte Marines. With the Baron live, Young Generation will be trying to take this away, because if they do take this Baron from TME, they can already end the game, because that Baron buff could be everything. And with a goal lead of 13,000, that is huge.
Their GLC actually,
GLC could not catch a break, really getting shut down in the top lane, finally finishing off that crazy force.
and again, this is one of those problems that Team Manila Eagles might have. But it's like a siege is happening here, coming in from Young Generation, and the tower, look at how fast it's going down.
And this is without the amount of so this is the raw damage that Young Generation has, especially Big Coro on that combat. TME, this is their last stand. Glacial Prison on to 3 members for the slow zone with Trevor for the culling, but that's the reset from the Janna. Big Coro remains untouched with Rocks. Very low in health now. Oh, will be securing the kill. Big Coro, great job on that Kog'Maw for a double kill with Trevor. trying to save his own life, but will be forced to give that triple. And I think this is game 7 with Young Generation. A considerable victory against TME, the second seed of Vietnam, staying true to their name, defeating Team Manila Eagles.
Man, oh man, oh man. Looks like that'll be the game indeed. Congratulations once again to Vietnam's second seed, Young Generation, for securing yet another win here in the group stage for the Garena Premier League.
Congratulations to Young Generation for securing their victory. So this is gonna further solidify their spot in the first standing, whereas Team Manila Eagles, they do still have a chance to make it towards the knockout stage in their next game with Resurgence. So to all those fans out there for Team Manila Eagles and supporting the Philippines in the GPL, watch out for the game between Resurgence and TME. This can determine if TME will be moving on to the knockout stage.
Well, we're just going to have to look forward to that. But nonetheless, just a quick touch on right there. If we're going to look at the last clash right there, Team Manila Eagles, everything actually worked in their favor as far as the composition that they have. As far as the set, it was great. But then again, at the end of the day, because they were so behind, regardless of that great setup coming in from Coops, from Rocks, you know, great follow-ups, but at the end of the day, it just didn't really count because of how ahead Young Generation was. So let's say if Team Manila Eagles makes it out of the group stage, they definitely have to really start flexing some muscles a bit more if they want to even make it to Worlds at this point.
So this will be concluding the first game of the last day of the group stages with Young Generation securing the victory against Team Manila Eagles. We have been a shoutcaster, I am Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We'll be seeing you in the next game, but I know you guys, for the Philippines out there, are watching out for the TME game. Stay tuned for that. That will be the Resurgence of TME, but we'll be moving on to the next game after the short break.